Every night, long after the city lights dimmed and most people were asleep, Daniel drove his old yellow taxi through the empty streets. He wasn't the kind of driver who chatted too much. He kept to himself, polite and quiet, rarely noticed by the passengers who slipped into the back seat and disappeared just as quickly. To most, he was just another taxi driver, someone to get them from one place to another. Nobody ever asked who he was beyond the wheel, and Daniel never volunteered the truth. But the truth was extraordinary. Years earlier, Daniel had been a brilliant medical student, top of his class, praised by professors, with a future in surgery. He dreamed of saving lives. But fate struck cruelly. His father fell gravely ill, and with no money for treatment, Daniel left school to support his family. He took any job he could find, eventually becoming a taxi driver to pay the bills. One rainy night, everything changed. A young woman rushed into his cab, trembling. She was cradling her child in her arms, a boy, barely 5 years old, gasping for air. "Please, the hospital," she cried desperately. Traffic was heavy, the storm relentless. The child's lips were turning blue. Daniel knew they wouldn't make it in time. His hands gripped the steering wheel, his mind racing not as a driver, but as the man he used to be. Pulling over, he turned to the terrified mother. "Trust me," he said firmly. In the back seat of that old taxi, using nothing but his knowledge and the small first aid kit he always carried, Daniel cleared the boy's airways and performed life-saving maneuvers. Minutes later, the child was breathing again. By the time they reached the hospital, doctors rushed the boy inside, astonished to hear what had happened. The mother hugged Daniel with tears streaming down her face. "You saved him," she whispered. Word spread. Newspapers wrote about the taxi driver who saved a child's life. Passengers who once ignored him now looked at him with respect. Some even recognized his name from old university records, and soon donors offered to help him finish medical school. Years later, Daniel finally stood where he was always meant to be, inside an operating room, saving lives not by chance but by profession. And every time he looked at the scalpel in his hand, he remembered the old steering wheel of his taxi, the place where a second chance had begun.